Last time I ranked the areas, which is a very original idea to do. This time I'm going to be as unoriginal as possible. We're going to be ranking all the bosses and partners in time. Couple of simple rules. This is my opinion. I'm not going to be looking at this objectively. Second thing, there's spoilers, so if you get spoiled, I can't say that I didn't warn you. Now, the third thing is that some bosses people count, I'm not going to be counting. Like the tutorial bosses, I'm not going to be counting the Shroobs in Holly Jolly Village. But everything else is going to be counted. This counts mini bosses and normal bosses. I think that covers everything. Let's start ranking the bosses. Oh, Shroob. Shroob is awful. I hate this boss. I don't even want to include it on this list. And the thing about it is that I just remembered it and I was working on number 4 and 5. And I really did not want to include it just because it sinks every other boss in the game, because you realize that you're fighting all these bosses just to get to this piece of garbage boss. I had 2 problems with it. 1, you can never attack. All that's going on is that you're counterattacking, which means it's so boring. You can't do damage, really. All this guy has is 20 health. Just dodge something 20 times. That's it. That's the epic final boss. And 2, this is absolutely pointless. There's no point for this boss to exist. We had a perfect boss that literally inspired my YouTube name right before this, and then we come back to the present, and then we see this thing. I'm not going to include it on the list, because I was already working on the list way too far ahead for me to include it, and I didn't want to re-edit stuff. So it's going to be a dishonorable mention, but if I did include it, it'd easily be number 13. Kamek is so easy. The easiest boss in the game. Now, people say that maybe like the Hammer Bros are the easiest boss in the game. Now, I do agree in a sense, but Kamek is in the 3rd area of the game. You can easily take him out with just smash eggs and cannonballers. You don't even need to take any damage, because he heals you with some of his attacks. And the times that he doesn't heal you, they're very easy to dodge. This is the first ever boss in any RPG game I've ever done without taking any damage. That says something. And I did that on my first attempt ever playing Partners in Time, which just makes it even worse. Now again, I do like Kamek as a character, but as a boss, no bueno. No, he's bad. Honestly, the way to fix this boss is to make the attacks never heal you, or make him just have more HP in general. That's all you need to do. I mean, it wasn't going to be number 12, but it wasn't going to get any more higher than this. Hammer Bros, they're also pretty easy, but they're harder than Kamek for 2 reasons. 1, you have no access to cannonballers. I mean, you could buy them, I guess, but even then, 2, you only have the babies, which aren't obviously as strong as the bros, so it definitely limits you on power. The only thing that makes it super easy, though, Kamek, you can just use smash eggs. For this boss, you just need to use the fire flower, and he's done in like 3 to 5 turns. It's super easy as well, which is definitely disappointing, but it's not as bad just because this is technically the first boss in the game. So it's not as bad as if Kamek was super easy. So that's why it's number 11. It won't get any higher though. We got the guy who produces power using his poop. This is a great start for the top 10. Swiggler, like the other 2 bosses that we talked about, are very easy, but it makes sense because this is the actual first boss. So I guess it's acceptable, but since you have cannonballers, it makes this boss super easy. You don't even have to go through the concept of the boss to beat him. Now, speaking of the concept, I am on a roll with these segues. The concept is amazing about this boss. Best part about it, it's the Vim Factory Shroobs yet to knock their poison mushroom into Swiggler's drink. He drinks it up, and then he becomes very weak. But this actually works against you if you do the mushroom that makes the Shroobs grow big, then it actually heals the boss, which is very bad. And if you don't put anything, then it just has an attack for the Shroob UFOs, again powering the UFOs with his butt. Mrs. Thwomp. This girl right here is Kamek done right. And let me explain. First off, her just as a whole has a decent amount of health. Not enough to be in one of the last areas in the game, which is why it's number 9, but it has a lot. So the other thing is that it splits into 4, but each one has their own HP. Now the only problem with that is that they look so different that you can tell which one is the real one. So you can just do copy flowers on the one that isn't fake, and that's the one's HP that actually matters. Which means the concept, kind of like Swiggler's, is pointless, as well as it's copied from an earlier boss, so it's not super original. The only thing is that it's not super easy, which I like. Basically, the main reason why it's not any lower than this. This actually started at somewhere around like number 5, but it just dropped the more I thought about it. So yeah, this is not a good boss. The only other thing I could point out is that I thought that this was a man the first time I played Partners in Time. I mean, can you really blame me? This is the most disappointing boss in the Mario and Luigi franchise, just because you just get so excited that you're actually gonna fight Petey Piranha. Not just in this game, but just like in the Mario franchise, because you don't really fight Petey Piranha, or he isn't really in mainstream games that much, so you think to yourself, I'm so excited, and it's just the most bland boss I've ever seen. Sadly, the attacks are also pretty bland. They just are super boring, like the boss. All you have to do is use trampolines, and if he goes into the ground, you have to use fire flowers or ice flowers. That's all the variety there is in this boss, picking between fire flowers or ice flowers. And it's not even that hard of a decision. Just pick ice flowers. And it's just sad. I guess you could use different stuff, like this footage is using smash eggs, but there's no need to. So that's why this boss is number 8. It's so boring. The only reason it isn't lower is because it's harder than the other bosses. And that's saying something. It's like a jump in difficulty, but that's not really saying much because it just went from like easy difficulty to normal difficulty. So it's kind of sad. Let me just get this out of the way.
Why you so
Now that we got that out of the way, this guy's really cool. First things first, if you don't buy trampolines, which I personally don't buy items, this guy is not super easy, which is a very nice touch. Second thing is that this guy has probably the most unique attacks out of every single boss except for, well, I mean, you know who. He actually uses the crowd to help attack him, which sounds very much like a game that some people like. I don't know if a ton of people like it, but I know some people do. Also, this is the first boss that I do actually like on this list, so this is the good bosses now. Commander Shroob is an easy boss on his own, so what he did instead of just sucking it up that he's easy, he actually put a very hard defense to get around. Okay, well, it's not hard, but it's definitely way more creative than stuff like Petey Piranha and Mrs. Thwomp. So it works in that sense, because the bomb is very interesting, because the way that it works is that you have to kill 2 Shroobs that are not the farthest away from you, so the bomb gets rolled back onto the commander to bring him out to attack, which is very creative. But if you knock the 2 that are closest to you, the bomb hurts you a lot. I don't remember how much HP it was, but the first time I just went for every single Shroob, oh my god, I got hit by the bomb and it decimated my health. It was terrible. But other than that, it's not super creative. The bomb concept makes it harder, which is definitely why it is over all these bosses, just because it's the hardest boss that we've talked about so far, but that's not really saying much. After this boss, the next 5 bosses we talk about are all great, and they can stand alone just from difficulty and a really good concept. The Commander Shroob is so close to getting into that top 5 too. The main problem is that the mixed flower and copy flower just don't let it be hard enough. Those are such good items, and it just decimates his health. Literally, you can do around like 700 HP each time, which that's so much. You probably could kill him in around 2 to 3 turns if you're lucky. I can tell you this though, this guy is the best mustache out of every boss in this game. Why did I say that? You know what, I'm keeping that in. I know, I'm shocked too. I really did not expect Sunnyside to get number 5. And honestly, you guys are probably expecting it to be lower, but to be honest, this is not an easy boss at all. The reason it isn't super easy is because it resists your most powerful attack in your adventure so far, which is the cannonballers. And for your cannonballers to actually do damage, you have to go through the concept of the boss, which is super creative. I would not have thought of this, and it actually brings back probably the best attributes of how to make a concept creative, which the first thing that they did is that they brought back something that you had to do in the area using a chain chomp ball. The second thing is you had to actually destroy 5 eggs, which is pretty difficult because he actually shoots them, which resets some of your progress. And once you get those 5, the 5 Yoshis push the chain chomp ball and knock him over, which reveals his weak point. And then you just spam cannonballers. And if you don't kill him, he gets back up, and you have to do all that over again. Which actually makes it pretty difficult unless you're over leveled, which is definitely kind of an issue. The other issue is that if you think about what this boss actually is, it's pretty gross. I'm not going to explain it though, because I'm not going to get demonetized. This is probably the only ranking that isn't affected by difficulty, because obviously this boss is not hard. It's not really easy like Kamek and Hammer Bros, but it's not hard like the next 3 that we haven't listed yet. And this is just because the charm, just think about this for a second. You are fighting both of the Bowsers with 4 of the Bros. It's perfect, and honestly, I did kind of expect that this boss is going to come up, especially because Bowser was brought up right before he went to the Swamp Volcano, but it makes sense. It makes narrative sense, and the attacks are not easy to dodge, even though obviously the Ice Flower demolishes him on offense. The attacks are very difficult, especially the one on screen right now. I think the difficulty doesn't need to be there for the boss still to be fun. I think that's the main reason it's ranked so dang high, even though it's not hard. I keep emphasizing that because people might be thinking that's what I like in my bosses. I do, you're not wrong, but if it's fun, then it's fine. And that is why the Baby Bowser and Bowser duo is ranked at number 4. You know that green thing that you fought in the beginning of the game? Well, this is this guy's brother. You can't jump on him, which makes it really difficult. So that means that you really gotta rely on mixed flowers and red shells. And he has a lot of health, don't get me wrong, but it's not as hard as you think. Until he grows big. He grows big, and then he summons one of those dang UFOs where if you don't kill him in that time limit, you automatically die. This is so difficult and very stressful. Now, there is an attack that you can use to knock the timer back, and if you hit the attack, then it gets knocked over, being able to use stuff like trampolines and copy flowers. But other than that, you have to use either mixed flowers or red shells to take him out, which it's not an easy boss, especially because it limits you on one of your strongest attacks being copy flowers, so it definitely makes it more stressful. The other thing is that it also makes this boss really fast-paced. And since I like Sonic games, I'm absolutely gonna be liking a game that goes really fast. You have to kill this guy as fast as possible, and if you don't, you're dead. And that's really fun. Kind of like the Bowser duo, except this boss is harder. That's why I said number 3. It still settles the difficulty while still being fun and having a unique concept. Princess Shroob is number 2. That's not a shock at all. I really hope it isn't. This boss it's easy, which is a problem, but it's not super easy, so it's not a bad thing. The problem is that the concept with the chair is so easy to get around. Just use a trampoline or a copy flower and then it's just gone. So that's not great, especially because you can beat this boss in around like maybe 3 to 5 turns, which is definitely disappointing, but there's 2 things that make up for it. One, it's Princess Shroob. You're finally fighting her, so that's pretty nice. And 2, the attacks are very difficult to dodge. They do a ton of power, and if you don't dodge them, kind of like the star attack, if you dodge it but don't jump on it, you either have to get hit or jump on it to end the attack, or it just goes on a loop. I'm not kidding, I've had that attack go on for around 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't jump or even get hit at that scenario. But I think the main problem with this boss is that it doesn't feel like it's the final boss. And that's because it isn't. You guys know what number 1 is. Number 1 is Shroob. He's just such a good no, I'm kidding. Number 1 is Elder Princess Shroob. What did you guys really expect? But I'm gonna say something that surprises you, maybe. The first phase alone would get number 1. And this is because the attacks are very unique, there is a ton of phases to them, and the concept of that part of the boss where Princess Peach has to hand you a star, and they have to knock as many UFOs out of the sky as possible, is pretty unique. Especially because she sometimes gives you like heals or bros items if there's nothing in the sky, so that's pretty nice. The only thing is that it's definitely the difficulty just a tiny bit higher than Princess Shroob, which definitely does suck, but that isn't even her final form. This is it. This is the final battle. If Princess Shroob loses this, the Shroobs are extinct. They're gone. Now here's the thing about this boss. This boss is not easy. It's easily the hardest boss in the game. Now combine that with the first phase, and there's the difficulty that I wanted. So, there it is. She gets to attack 3 times. Her head gets to attack, her arms get to attack, and her legs get to attack. Which is ridiculous. And I like it for that a lot. Especially because you have to destroy certain parts of her body to actually be able to damage her head. If you don't go through those phases, your attacks only do 1 damage to where you actually have to damage her, which is pathetic. Since she has 3,500 health, 1 damage is definitely not gonna cut it. To be able to damage her, you have to first destroy her legs so you can reach her crown. Her crown is giving her all the defense she needs. Once you destroy that crown, you can do massive amounts of damage to her, which is perfect. And the best part about it is that her stuff comes back. Like her arms will grow back, her legs will grow back, and you have to destroy them again, which makes the boss even harder. This is easily the hardest boss in Partners in Time, which makes sense, it's the final one. Also, the concept of just having to destroy her body parts is good enough to make the boss unique. Again, you don't really want a very unique concept for a final boss, just because all you're thinking about is just, I want to kill them. you don't really think about the concept of it, unlike maybe for Sunnyside or the lack of a concept in PD Piranha. If there's a lack of concept here, then it's bad, but if there's a little bit of one, then it's fine. And that is why Elder Princess Shroob is number 1. But did you guys really expect anything else to be? But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like down below. If you're added to this channel, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell to notify when I upload videos. Last video, I ranked the Mario and Luigi Partners of Time areas. Make sure to check that out. And the next one, I'm going to be ranking the bros items in this game. That's going to be a pretty fun one to do. I can't wait for it, and I can't wait for you guys to be there. And if you guys have any ideas of what I should rank for any Mario RPG, leave it in the comments down below. I'll probably do it, and yeah, I can't wait to see you guys in another video. See you guys then. Also, my Discord and the Mario RPG Discord will be in the description below. I don't own the Mario RPG Discord, but I will be there chatting with some of you guys if you want. So yeah, see you guys then.